Clara sat quietly under the dim light of a flickering street lamp. The cold wind whipped through her thin coat as she hugged herself tightly, trying to keep warm. Her once vibrant eyes were now hollow, as if the very essence of her soul had been drained, leaving behind only the weight of a mother's unspeakable loss. Life had been unkind to her. Once, Clara was a beloved school teacher, known for her kind heart and patience. But tragedy struck when her only daughter, Sophia, fell gravely ill. Despite her best efforts and countless sleepless nights caring for Sophia, Clara couldn't save her. The loss shattered her world, leaving her not only grief-stricken but also financially ruined from the overwhelming medical bills. Homeless and heartbroken, Clara wandered from shelter to shelter, carrying nothing but Sophia's worn-out diary, a cherished reminder of the bright, curious girl who had once filled her life with laughter. She tried to hold on to hope, but the weight of her circumstances grew heavier each day. One fateful evening, as the rain poured mercilessly, Clara sat on a park bench, drenched and trembling. She gazed into the distance, wondering if life still held anything meaningful for her. Little did she know, that very night, a chance encounter would change her life forever. The storm raged on, thunder rumbling across the darkened sky. Clara huddled on the bench, her wet hair plastered to her face. She was too tired to care about the cold or the rain. The numbness inside her heart made the storm feel insignificant. A sleek black car suddenly pulled up near her. Its headlights cut through the rain, casting long shadows across the park. The driver's door opened, and out stepped a tall man with an umbrella. His sharp features were softened by a look of genuine concern as he approached her. "Are you all right?" the man asked, his voice calm yet commanding. Clara looked up, her body shivering too hard to respond. She shook her head, unable to find the words to explain her situation. The man crouched to her level. "You shouldn't be out here in this weather. Please, let me help you." At first, Clara hesitated. The shadows of her past made it hard to trust anyone, especially someone so polished and seemingly untouched by hardship. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw not pity, but genuine concern. With a weak nod, she allowed him to help her to her feet. The man introduced himself as Harry, a reclusive businessman who rarely ventured out in public. He didn't explain why he was there that night, only that he couldn't leave her in the rain. Clara, too exhausted to question further, let him guide her into his car. As they drove through the city, Harry's reserved demeanor softened. He asked Clara about her situation, but she gave only brief answers, ashamed of how far she had fallen. Yet Harry didn't judge her. Instead, he assured her that she was safe and offered her a warm place to stay for the night. When they arrived at Harry's sprawling mansion on the edge of the city, Clara was overwhelmed. The grandeur of the place, its towering ceilings, marble floors, and elegant furnishings, stood in stark contrast to the harsh realities she had been facing. As she barely noticed, as a young girl, no older than 10, peeked curiously around the corner. "Emily," Harry said gently, "this is Clara. She'll be staying with us for a while." Emily nodded shyly before retreating to her room, leaving Clara to wonder about the child. She didn't realize yet that Emily would soon become the center of her life. The morning light streamed through the large windows, casting a warm glow across the living room. Clara sat quietly on the plush sofa, sipping a cup of tea that Harry's staff had brought her. She felt out of place in the mansion's opulence, but the kindness she had received began to chip away at her initial unease. Her thoughts were interrupted by soft footsteps. She turned to see Emily, Harry's daughter, standing hesitantly in the doorway. The girl clutched a stuffed rabbit tightly to her chest, her wide eyes filled with curiosity and a hint of nervousness. "Hi," Clara said gently, offering a small smile. Emily took a tentative step forward. "Are you staying here now?" "For a little while," Clara replied. "Your dad was kind enough to help me last night." Emily studied her for a moment before sitting on the carpet nearby, still holding the stuffed rabbit. There was a quiet vulnerability about her that reminded Clara of Sophia. She felt an instant connection, though she didn't yet understand why. As the days passed, Clara began to notice subtle signs that something was wrong with Emily. The girl often looked pale and tired, and she would occasionally clutch her chest as if in discomfort. Clara's instincts as a mother kicked in. The symptoms mirrored those Sophia had shown during her illness, and it sent a sharp pang through her heart, as if the wounds of her past had been torn open once more. Memories of holding Sophia during her hardest nights flooded back, overwhelming her with both fear and determination. One afternoon, while Harry was in his study, Clara found Emily sitting in the garden, her breathing labored. She rushed to the child's side and knelt down. "Emily, are you okay?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. Emily nodded weakly, but winced as another wave of pain washed over her. Without thinking, Clara scooped the girl into her arms and carried her inside, calling out for help. Harry appeared almost instantly, his face pale with fear. "What's wrong?" "She needs a doctor," Clara said firmly. "Now." Harry wasted no time. Within minutes, a private physician arrived and began examining Emily. As the doctor worked, Clara stood by, her hands trembling. Memories of Sophia flooded her mind. How helpless she had felt, how desperately she had fought to save her daughter. When the examination was over, the doctor pulled Harry aside. Clara caught fragments of their conversation. Unclear diagnoses, monitor closely, and potential complications. Harry's expression darkened, and Clara's heart ached for both him and Emily. That evening, Harry confided in Clara. "Emily's been unwell for a while," he admitted, his voice heavy with guilt. "I've tried everything, specialists, treatments, but nothing has worked. I don't know what else to do." Clara placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "I've seen these symptoms before," she said softly. "My daughter Sophia had something similar. I can help, if you'll let me." Harry looked at her, his guarded exterior crumbling. In that moment, he realized that Clara wasn't just a guest in his home. She was someone who could bring a sense of hope and understanding to a situation he had felt powerless to control. Over the following weeks, Clara devoted herself to Emily's care. She stayed by the girl's side, helping her through the difficult days and teaching Harry how to recognize and respond to the symptoms. Slowly but surely, Emily began to trust Clara, and the bond between them grew stronger. For Clara, Emily became more than just a child in need. She became a reminder of the love she had shared with Sophia, and a chance to channel her grief into something meaningful. Weeks turned into months, and Clara became an integral part of the household. Emily's condition had stabilized under her care, but it was clear to everyone that the young girl wasn't out of danger. Despite Harry's relentless efforts to find a solution, the doctors continued to deliver the same frustrating answer: no diagnosis, no definitive treatment. One evening, Clara sat at the dining table with Harry after Emily had gone to bed. The usually stoic man seemed more vulnerable than ever, his shoulders slumped and his face etched with worry. "I feel like I'm failing her," Harry admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "All the money, all the resources, and I still can't save my own daughter." Clara reached out and touched his hand. "You're doing everything you can, Harry, but maybe there's something more we haven't considered." The next morning, Harry received a call from a renowned specialist he had consulted months ago. The doctor had finally reviewed Emily's case in depth and identified a rare genetic condition. There was hope, but it came with a catch. Emily's condition required an organ transplant, and finding a suitable donor would be nearly impossible given her rare blood type. The odds of finding a match were slim, and time was running out. Clara listened intently as the doctor explained the situation. Something stirred deep within her, a quiet realization that both frightened and emboldened her. Without saying a word, she walked into the kitchen and pulled out her medical records, which she had kept in her bag out of habit. When the tests came back, the truth was undeniable. Clara was a perfect match. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Harry looked at her, his expression a mixture of gratitude and fear. You're willing to do this? To risk your life for Emily? Clara took a deep breath. I've already lost one child, Harry. I can't stand by and lose another. Not when I can help. The days that followed were filled with quiet tension. Clara grappled with the enormity of her decision. Memories of Sophia flooded her mind. Her laughter, her strength, her last moments. She thought of Emily, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her favorite stories, the way she clung to Clara when she felt scared. One night, as Clara sat in the garden, Harry joined her. He had barely spoken since the test results had come back, struggling with the weight of the situation. I don't know if I can let you do this, he said, his voice raw with emotion. I've already asked too much of you. Clara turned to him, her expression resolute. You haven't asked for anything, Harry. This is my choice. Emily deserves a chance to live, to grow up, to have a future. And if I can give her that, then it's worth it. Harry's eyes glistened with unshed tears. For a man who had always been in control, this was a moment of profound vulnerability. Thank you, he whispered. The decision was made, but the fear lingered. Clara knew the risks, knew that the procedure could cost her life, but she also knew that the love she had for Sophia, the love she now felt for Emily, was stronger than her fear. On the day of the operation, as Clara was being prepped in the hospital, Emily clung to her hand. You're not going to leave me, are you? The little girl asked, her voice trembling. Clara smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from Emily's face. I'm going to do everything I can to stay with you, sweetheart. I promise. As they wheeled her into the operating room, Clara closed her eyes, her heart filled with both fear and hope. Whatever happened next, she knew she was doing the right thing. The operating room buzzed with activity. Clara lay still on the table, her mind calm despite the risks she faced. She had made peace with her decision. This was her chance to save Emily, to do for the little girl what she couldn't for Sophia. Hours passed as the surgical team worked with precision. In another room, Emily lay under sedation, waiting for the organ that could save her life. Harry paced anxiously in the waiting area, his usual composed demeanor shattered by the weight of uncertainty. Finally, the lead surgeon emerged, removing his mask. The procedure was successful, he said with a tired but reassuring smile. Both Clara and Emily are stable. Harry exhaled, his hands trembling with relief. The operation was over, but the road to recovery was just beginning. Clara woke up 2 days later in a sunlit hospital room. Her body ached, but she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. As her eyes adjusted to the light, she saw Harry sitting by her bedside. He looked exhausted, his suit wrinkled, but his face lit up when he saw her stir. Clara, he said softly, leaning forward. You're awake. How's Emily? Clara asked, her voice weak but steady. She's going to be okay, Harry said, his voice thick with emotion. Thanks to you. Tears welled up in Clara's eyes as relief washed over her. I'm so glad, she whispered. For weeks, both Clara and Emily remained under close medical supervision. Clara's recovery was slower, her body adjusting to the strain of the procedure. But Harry was always there, ensuring she had everything she needed. Emily, meanwhile, regained her strength faster than anyone had expected. One afternoon, Emily visited Clara's room, her face beaming with life. She climbed onto the chair beside the bed and held Clara's hand. You're my hero, Emily said, her voice full of gratitude. Clara smiled, squeezing the girl's hand gently. You're pretty brave yourself, kiddo. In an unexpected twist, Clara's recovery accelerated after Harry consulted with a team of researchers he had been funding for years. They proposed a groundbreaking experimental treatment that could aid Clara's healing process. Despite Clara's initial hesitation, Harry convinced her to give it a try. The treatment worked. Clara's body began to heal faster than the doctors anticipated, and within a few months, she was back on her feet. The medical team called it a miracle, but Clara believed it was a testament to the combined power of science and determination. One crisp autumn day, Clara stood in the garden of Harry's mansion, watching Emily chase butterflies with the energy of a child who had just been given a second chance at life. Harry joined her, his hands tucked into his pockets. "She wouldn't be here without you," he said quietly. Clara turned to him, her eyes warm. "She wouldn't be here without you either, Harry. You never gave up on her." For a moment, they stood in silence, the weight of everything they had endured settling into the stillness. In their hearts, they both knew this wasn't just a story of survival. It was a story of love, sacrifice, and the power of hope. Life at Harry's mansion slowly returned to a peaceful rhythm. Clara had fully recovered, and Emily's health flourished more with each passing day. The once quiet house was now filled with laughter and warmth, a testament to the healing power of love and resilience. As weeks turned into months, Clara and Harry grew closer. They found solace in each other's company, sharing their fears, hopes, and dreams. What began as gratitude and respect soon blossomed into something deeper, a connection built on trust and shared purpose. A year after the surgery, Harry surprised Clara with a heartfelt gesture. It was a crisp spring evening, and the garden was alight with soft fairy lights. Harry invited Clara and Emily for what seemed like a simple dinner, but as dessert was served, he rose from his chair, his hands trembling slightly. "Clara," he began, his voice steady despite the emotion swirling within him. "You walked into our lives at a time when hope seemed out of reach. You didn't just save Emily. You saved me. You've brought love and light back into this home, and I can't imagine a future without you in it." Clara's breath caught in her throat as Harry knelt, revealing a delicate ring in a small velvet box. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his eyes filled with both vulnerability and certainty. Tears streamed down Clara's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling with joy. Emily clapped her hands excitedly, running over to hug them both. "Does this mean we're a real family now?" she asked, her eyes wide with happiness. Clara smiled, pulling Emily into her arms. "We've always been a family," she said, her heart full. A year later, Clara and Harry welcomed a new addition to their family, a baby boy with bright, curious eyes they named Ethan. Emily adored her little brother, doting on him at every opportunity. For Clara, Ethan symbolized a new beginning, a ray of light breaking through the shadows of her past. For Harry, he was a reminder of the love and strength that had brought their family together. And for Emily, he was a gift, a little brother who filled their home with laughter and boundless joy. Together, Clara, Harry, Emily, and Ethan built a life rooted in love and shared purpose. To honor their journey, Harry and Clara founded the Hope and Healing Center, a facility dedicated to providing medical support and emotional care for families in crisis. Clara poured her heart into the center, ensuring that no family would ever feel as lost or hopeless as she once had. The story ended not with a single act of heroism, but with a legacy of compassion. As Clara stood with Harry and their children at the grand opening of the center, she realized how far they had come. What began as a chance encounter on a stormy night had transformed into a journey of healing, hope, and the creation of a family bound not just by blood, but by love. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey. Clara and Harry's story is a powerful reminder of the strength found in love, hope, and second chances. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. For more stories like this, tales of resilience, kindness, and extraordinary ways people can change each other's lives, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss another story that could brighten your day. Let's continue to celebrate the beauty of humanity and the strength of the human spirit, one story at a time. Thank you for being part of our community, and we'll see you in the next video.